Welcome to RE Master Talks with Amit. Today, we have a young entrepreneur with us who is passionate about the solar industry and intends to spread the knowledge through his unique way of teaching. Mr. Gaurav Gupta, co-founder at Reo.Online, an online learning platform for solar engineers. Welcome, Gaurav. Pleasure to have you at RE Master Talks.
The pleasure is all mine, Amit. Thank you so much for your warm welcome.
Gaurav, let's hit the questions straight away.
Sure.
My first question to you would be, how do you perceive the present and future of renewable energy and clean green energy globally and particularly in India?
So, Amit, I personally believe that the renewable energy space has a lot of potential going forward, mainly because that's how urbanization is progressing. If you were to talk about India categorically, India, of its economy itself has such unique opportunities, right? If you are to talk about solar technology by itself is not much. It is about where and how are you applying it that makes it such a game changer, right? And India has such wide and deep ranging applications. If you are to talk about the agrarian economy that we predominantly are, it makes applications for solar pumps and solar farms easier, right? When you talk about how well connected we are through railways and inroads, it means that there's a lot of potential for solar street lights and a lot of infrastructure that is waiting to go green, right? If you talk about all the water bodies that we have, it makes it seem that there's a lot of floating solar technology that can be integrated. There are tier two cities, and there are a lot of villages through which your microgrid solutions can be integrated, right? So when you talk about the diversity of solar applications in India, there is just so much potential. And when you compound that, or when you add the government support to it, be it the National Solar Mission, be it the Surya Mitra program, or the International Solar Alliance, there's just so much international influence that India is holds today, right? That there's definitely a great future for us in the space.
Great, Gaurav. Coming from a young blood, it's really encouraging that a lot of people are looking at us. That how do we perceive the renewable energy sector now? Great. So, my next question for you, as a young entrepreneur, what are you offering to the industry?
So I started Rio with my co-founder Hussein when we were actually just 21 back in April 2019, because we wanted to create a tangible difference to the way solar professionals actually consume professional training, right? And we've seen some great results through that, right? Our intention was that we want to compress months of on-the-job learning, job shadowing, micromanagement into a few hours of online learning through which a solar engineer, be it a professional or a fresher, is able to scale in the industry faster compared to other platforms, right? And in the last 2 years, we've trained professionals from over 40 plus countries. We've seen some great partnerships with well-reputed organizations, and we're only increasing our portfolio count, right? Now, something that now, as an organization, we overlook the entire value chain wherein we select our own instructors, we build our own syllabus backwards. Now, when I say we build the syllabus backwards, there are three key things that we really look for when we try building a syllabus. First is that we really look at the job specifications that the industry has for that particular skill, right? Secondly, we look at what kind of projects is the said engineer going to encounter when he's actually received the job, right? What kind of variables does he come across in the field, right? And thirdly, what we look at, what kind of client interactions can he expect, right? Every engineer, right, he has to interact with the client, he has to interact with his seniors, with his juniors, and he needs to be answerable for the engineering that he's doing, right? And these are the three things that we really try incorporating in our curriculum, and we've seen some great success through the same.
Great. Uh, nice. So, let me just jump on to the next question, Gaurav. What sets you apart from the other knowledge hubs, and what are the set of problems you have faced so far in aligning your goals?
So I personally believe that everybody is doing a good job with trying to create education and awareness around solar energy. But I feel where we stand out is how well we really understand the problem that the industry is facing at a systematic level, right? And this is not just India, this applies to the rest of the world as well, where the current training mechanism, because it's so classroom centric, right, and so offline oriented, it is not scalable, it is not remote, and it's not accessible, right? Quality training institutes today are very concentrated in key cities, And even if they are available in second tier cities, the quality of these instructors are not up to the mark where they can produce world-class engineers, right? Because of which you are not seeing a uniform or a standardized growth in the manpower quality of the solar industry. Secondly, what I feel is that a lot of institutes, be it formal educational institutes or technical training institutes, they're getting the concept of practical training wrong, right? Now, what's happening is that practical training in a lot of institutes is extremely static, where it's almost like you're giving them a toy to play with. But practical training only makes sense if it is coupled with analytical training, where engineers understand the cause and effect relationship between what they're studying, right? They understand what kind of variables are they going to encounter, and they understand the meaning of every number, right? Because everything in engineering can be quantified, Amit, right? Everything has a reason for functioning the way it does. And if you don't understand that, if you don't understand what will happen if you increase or if you reduce this number, right, then your practical training has not given you the kind of insights that are actually required, right? And the third problem being that the training mechanism is not attracting the best talent in the space, the best engineering talent, right? Somebody in an IIT today, right, if he wants to do data analytics, if he wants to go into space engineering, if he wants to get into your robotics, ML, IoT, there are just so many platforms available and so many mentors available who are willing to guide him into the space, right? But that's not the same facility that I have personally noticed in the solar industry, where there's a credible mentor, right, available, and who's also accessible for them to, take solar industry as a very serious career option right from the beginning till the point that he's become a seasoned professional, right? So these are the main differentiators that we see, and we are trying to create a very plug-and-play solution for solar companies, right? Because most solar companies today have to start off with hiring freshers and teaching them what is solar energy, right? Any fresher today has to spend somewhere between 6 months to 2 years until he's become technically qualified enough to be called a solar engineer, right? And we want to shorten that process. We want to make it a very resource optimized process for solar companies to find the right talent. And of course, we faced a lot of challenges in this course. Of course, uh, it could be in terms of the quality of the instructors that we're looking for, who are actually able to deliver the training at an international level, because a lot of our students come from abroad as well, right? Creating the right syllabus wherein the quality is not being compromised just because it's being taught online, right? That kind of attention to detail is something that's definitely been a challenge for us, but we've been I would say simple hard work has gone into creating the kind of courses that we do, and it's worked out well for us.
Pretty good. Congratulations. A quick question which came into my mind, Gaurav, was that, I understand that you started working for the solar industry at a very nascent age, right? At a very young age. What
Yeah.
exactly pushed you towards it?
So, to be very honest, I was very interested in being a part of the solar industry, right? That was the so that was the main intention that Hussein and I had, that we just want to be a part of the industry, but because we're not engineers ourselves, right? We weren't really sure how do we really put our foot in, right? And because we could feel that we ourselves are not getting the right training opportunities where we can become qualified enough to be a part of the industry, I'm sure there are others who feel the same way, right? And that is how we realized that an e-learning platform would have been an extremely beneficial place or an like a feature for the solar industry, where they're actually able to access training anytime, anywhere around the world without having to worry about the quality, the price, anything at all, be it whether you're from Ghana, whether you're from Germany, or regardless of which city or town you're in India. I feel because of the targets that we're setting, right? The government has such lofty targets, climate change is such a big issue, right? Quality manpower should be very easily accessible than what it is today, right? We cannot have manpower be the biggest challenge that the solar industry is facing.
All right, all right. So how do you, if I may ask, how do you compile the content for the courses? What is your, you approach people, obviously, those guys, there must be some teachers, some scientists, some engineers, some
Yeah.
CTOs. So how do you compile all those things?
So we have a very robust selection process for our instructors, right? We only deal with instructors or who are full-time solar engineers. That is, they wake up and the first thing that they do is handle a solar plant, because it's only these professionals who adequately understand what another professional needs to learn, right? And they have complete independence to design the syllabus, right? Because again, they know best as to what their job requires them to do, right? And this is coupled with a lot of interviews with HR managers and CXOs, right? Who spend a lot of time in conveying to us as to what their requirements are, right? And then there is a lot of filtration happening. There's a lot of analysis happening as to what other institutes are doing and why are they not able to deliver the same kind of quality that the industry is looking for, right? And then we create the entire content. It's like an 8 to 9 hour movie, because so now another thing what happens in online learning is that people assume that you can just take a PPT, the same PPT that you would teach in a classroom, you can just teach over Zoom. But that's not the case, because online learning, the way you consume online content is a very different ball game altogether, right? The amount of attention and the amount of clarity that is required to be delivered in an online mechanism is completely different, right?
True.
And so there's a lot of attention to detail, and there's a lot of revisions that go in, right? We are not there's constant updates, because I would say the syllabus making process is actually the longest time. We take about 2 to 3 months to make any syllabus, right? And it's only post that the course production starts. And I would say one of the key factors in making a syllabus is how interesting are we making the subject. Because we personally feel that energy being such an intense topic, being such an information dense topic, right? If you want to attract a fresher into the space, right, he cannot be intimidated by the subject, right? He can be the best talent out there, but if you're not making the information exciting, right? As of today, data, blockchain, ML, these are such big topics where people want to approach it because of the glamour and the kind of interest that these fields have packaged themselves into, right? And we want to create the same thing for the solar industry, because the industry deserves a platform of its own, right? Where people find information extremely interesting and they want to devote their careers to the space, right? So I would say technical information is not the only barometer for the curriculum that we make. The level of interest of the student is also taken into account.
Very nice, Gaurav. Very aptly put across as well. The intent is very clear, and since we've had such insights coming from you, I wanted a little more insights to our viewers right now. Wanted to know what Gaurav does in his free leisure time. What is a stress buster? How does he keep himself sane during these times?
Pre-COVID, I would usually go out for a cup of coffee with a book of mine, and because I'm very comfortable just having a cup of coffee by myself. But lately, it's been indoors. It's been a lot of Netflix, and it's been a lot of just binging content, because we're kind of limited with how we can actually stress.
Any favorite song? Any favorite, some quote which you would want to share?
Uh, I think my favorite quote is by Jeff Bezos, where he said that don't lose sight or grasp of the obvious. It helps me in my business. It helps me in my life, where it just ensures that common sense can go a long way. And as long as you're probably not making mistakes, I feel a lot of people are doing something extra cool and they're trying to do something fancy. But I feel even if you just try keeping things extremely simple without making mistakes, you can go a long way.
Simplicity works then. Yeah.
Definitely, Ahmed. Definitely.
Great. So thank you so much, Gaurav. It was a pleasure to have you and hear your far-sighted approach. Wishing you all the success, and we look forward to meet you soon.